Nancy Bass Wyden is the president.
This is not so corporate here. I'm the owner.
The owner.
Along with my dad, Fred Bass, of
Okay.
the Strand. And it was founded by my grandfather 85 years ago in 1927 in an area that was in New York City that was known as Book Row. And it was a famous area because there were about 48 bookstores all along 4th Avenue. And we're actually the only survivors from that time.
Welcome to the Bibliophile, first of all.
Glad to be interviewed. Thanks for coming out here.
So that begs the question, why have you survived and why hasn't anyone else?
We survived through a lot of hard work and enduring a lot of times and sometimes very tough times. I think it's been 3 generations of being passionate about books and really loving to be here and wanting to work really hard at it. And it also helps to be in New York City. You know, this is a place filled with book lovers and people in the arts, and the publishing industry is here. And so we're able to get in employees that are English majors and that recommend books, and we're able to get great source of books too with reviews and antiquarian books.
Whenever I come to your website, I'm just amazed at the selection of books that you have. And so location then seems to me to be one of the reasons for your success, and yet the others didn't succeed. So you were the last one standing. Is it just because of your size?
Well, if you go back and look at the history of Book Row, a lot of people will say that it was the rents that drove out the bookstores, and the rents did go up. But if you ask my dad, he will say that it's because he had a successor. That a lot of the people that worked around Book Row, they had to work so hard, and there was so much competition that they actually encouraged their kids to become doctors and lawyers. And my dad wanted to be a bookseller, so the Strand had a successor, a willing and able successor.
It was in the blood, and there's a love of it. It does very much seem to me that bookstores are successful because of the owner.
Mm-hmm. And I think the bookstores will really reflect the owner if you pay attention to selection and the details and how things are displayed.
I've also heard used antiquarian booksellers described as curators.
Mm-hmm. That's true. They promote the books that they love or that they're responding to what their customers love. So they are curators and do spread ideas and inspiration. That's the best part about being in this business. Going to a reading and a famous author, Chuck Close will say, well, he found some books here and this inspired him to do something else, and that makes it all worthwhile. Or I ordered a hat from somebody in California, and she was on the phone. She's an owner of a hat store, and she was telling me about this book that she found at the Strand, so that just made me feel really good.
We talked earlier about the huge stream of books that comes into your store thanks to the city that you're in. But you don't take them all, obviously, do you?
The kind of books we're looking for, quality books that people, I know this is very simple, that people still love. The books that do not sell well at the Strand might be, just very popular fiction or romance novels or self-help books.
Yeah.
And the books that do well here are substantial books, good histories, classics, kind of perennial favorites, antiquarian books, things that will stand the test of time.
And so that was your father's philosophy, go after books of substance.
Yes, that's what sells here.
Yeah, you've obviously got a fairly intellectual customer base.
Yeah, definitely intellectual, sophisticated. They buy a huge range of genre too.
Your father then took over from his father?
Yes, he's actually in London right now. My dad's in London buying books, so you know what he does in his spare time. I think the London Book Fair is on right now.
I think you're right, but he would be there just as a coincidence, or is he?
He's buying books.
He's buying new books or remainder books.
Remainder books.
That's where he will go to find out about new titles and titles that he can pick up for a reasonable price.
Right. He's 84 years old. He's in here every day. But he's not out in London like that.
Right. Well, I think that buying books and hunting down books and collecting books keeps people alive.
Yes.
It's a kind of a thrill of the chase, or a desire to complete something that gives you a reason to get up in the morning. Is he a collector?
He is a collector. You know, when you own a bookstore, you have to narrow down your interest, because you don't want to take the best things for yourself, and then you also don't want to have your home turn into a bookstore. So my dad, his favorite is Matisse, his favorite artist. So very early on, he just loved Matisse, and he collected all the books that had anything to do with Matisse. And then, of course, in his library, he has a lot of books of people that, you know, walked into the store, authors that he loved, you know, or kind of books that have stories. A lot of them are signed by the authors, like Abby Hoffman or Kurt Vonnegut or Saul Bellows. A lot of books of authors that had meaning for him.
Right.
Zero Mostel used to come to the store all the time. So
you obviously then have the same. You weren't forced into this.
The same.
But I was about to say
the collecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've narrowed it down to biographies, and I love political books, American political books, and I love books on New York. Signed presidential items, you know, even Barack Obama and Teddy Roosevelt. Some women that I admire: Joan Didion, Eleanor Roosevelt, Elizabeth Edwards, who's been through a lot. I've signed books of hers too.
So inspiration.
Yes. And historical. My husband is in the political world, so that's also
okay. So that helps.
Interest. Yeah.
You're still standing, and you're dealing with the ebook. That's more than a phenomenon.
Right.
Reality.
Freight train.
Yeah. But a lot of your books kind of come in fairly close to what an ebook might cost anyway.
Right. Actually, we just had a big window display. I don't know if you saw it. It was up yesterday. On these books are cheaper than ebooks, and we had a table filled with them too, which is really true. A lot of books here are less expensive than ebooks, and then you get to keep them. You can bring them home, and then you can bring them to a friend. They've done surveys. American Booksellers Association has been surveys amongst avid readers, and 50% of avid readers do not want to have anything to do with ebooks. You know, people love books, and who wants to bring the machine to bed with them? Rather have a book.
Yeah, cold, hard. You're not getting in bed with the ebook trend then, but you're not selling ebooks here.
We are not, no. We're just doing with the physical book.
What about your store as a literary destination? I've talked to so many people who, when you mention New York, they automatically mention the Strand. How do you see your store?
People have told me that it's, you know, an iconic bookstore, or it's legendary. We just really tried to have the best bookstore that we can. So try to hire, you know, employees that love books. Almost everybody here is college major. And we try to have a lot of fun with recommending things. Yeah. Every month we have a curated collection, and we invite authors to put in their favorite books and recommend them. Fran Lebowitz has done that recently. Ann Tyler's going to be doing it. Jay McInerney is going to be next month. And then we have all these literary events. Tonight, I was just mentioning that we have the New Yorker cartoonist panel, and we have Francis Moulet. He decides what kind of artwork to put into the New Yorker, and Art Spiegelman's going to be here. And we just had on Friday James Franco, the actor. So there's a lot of, we just had David Sedaris recently, we had Patti Smith recently. So there's really a lot of exciting things that are here, and we do try to make this a magnet for literary people and, you know, people that just love reading. So that's our sub-slogan is where books are loved.
What about the young aspiring used bookseller? What advice would you have for them?
I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. I really do. You know, first of all, I think there's always a backlash with technology, and then, like I said, a lot of people aren't even going to get on board on this. And then antiquarian books will increase in value. I mean, they'll become more and more rare and collectible, and you know, people like signed copies of things and unusual ways that books were printed. So I would say go for it. And I would also say that, you know, you just got to be mindful that you have to really love this, because this is what's going to take up all your time. You have to be devoted to this. Especially, I'm talking about if you have a physical bookstore, you know. I guess you could put up an ebook store, not an ebook store,
an online bookstore.
Very easily. You could do that with your personal collection. But if you're going to put up actual bookstore. It takes a lot of passion, and it's going to take up your life, your life's work, to do it successfully.
Well, the thing is, too, bookstores, used bookstores, as much as anything, provide, I think, a wonderful public service. They serve as oases where you can just contemplate and browse, and you're not going to get kicked out if you don't buy anything necessarily. Mm-hmm. And in France, they respect this, and they give booksellers tax moratoriums.
No, I didn't even know that was occurring. I do say wherever I go, I am visiting a bookstore. And I just came back from Tokyo. Mm-hmm. And I just saw, I don't know if you know this bookstore, it's Tucson Books, brand new bookstore in Tokyo. People are saying, the bookstore world is so dead, and they have 3 ultra-modern book buildings there. It's very innovative. They've embraced technology. Their travel section has a person there that will actually book trips. And they have a whole movie section, and they'll have the iPads playing the movies, and they'll sell the vintage posters, and Starbucks there.
I was just about to say, there they are.
There's a lot of opportunity out there, and a lot of fun, because people love to shop. Our store sales keep going up and up, because people do, they need to find a community of book lovers. They want to find the serendipity of discovering things. Yeah. They don't want to sit at home being tethered to their devices. So,
when I came into the store, as I do every time I come to New York, it's always jam-packed with people. And again, you just don't expect to see that in a bookstore, but it is.
Yeah, it is always busy here. It's really so fulfilling that's the case. We try to always make things very fresh. So we have our bargain books outside. They range from 48 cents to, we now have some $5 ones, but most of them are books for $1. And then we come inside and we try to have a lot of staff recommendations and author recommendations, and we have our Strand 80 table, which is our best voted by our customers as our all-time perennial favorites. So we also have put in a lot of things that are just kind of fun items too, that are related to the literary world, book bags and bookmarks and magnets that are just have a little bit of a punchline to also having books and book giving.
The business has been up over the last 5 years, then, let's say?
It's been up and down. It's definitely been a time of a lot of change in this industry. We did have a very, very, very good Christmas, and it's up for this year right now.
It's still a challenge.
It's a challenge, yeah. And we keep, and that's what you got to do with anything. You have to change things according to how customers shop and how customers read, and the world has changed.
You mentioned going to Tokyo. Are you a literary tourist?
Yes, every place I go to, I'm in a bookstore, and my husband too. And we always buy books, which is really, really silly. But there we are.
You have a favorite literary destination?
In New York, I love going to the Morgan Library. I love in Portland, Oregon, going to Powell's Bookstore. In Philadelphia, I love to do that Rosenbach collection. Huntington Library out in California is just fantastic. If I'm in the airport, I go to the airport bookstores.
I think Powell's, I don't know if they still do, but I think they had a branch out at the airport.
Yeah, they actually have 2 branches out in the airport, on 2 sides of the terminal.
They're pretty innovative as well.
Right, they definitely are. They don't have any used books but they do have really good hand-selected books, some kids' items, and games and things like that.
This is a kind of off-the-wall question. What makes you saddest?
Well, as a mom, you're talking about just general things. What's really been affecting me now is if I see children in any kind of distress. And I do travel a lot. I was in Madagascar recently, and I just came back from India. My husband and I visited a runaway shelter for boys. That just is, and you see how lucky we are in America, how much resources we have, and you can see, even in India, though the kids were so hungry to learn English. More related to this interview is probably seeing iconic businesses go out of business. So the Forbes. They had a Forbes gallery on the Forbes building here, where that was just so New York, and I know it was capitalism, but it was just that that things could die so suddenly. Second Avenue Deli, which was right near here. Lutow's, which was around the block. It was such a long-established business with such a great reputation, and then it could just change overnight.
I think that speaks to what you said earlier on about how connected successful businesses are to their owners. I'm just thinking of Peter Howard now from Serendipity Books. It's the joy and the passion that individuals bring to their businesses that, as much as anything else, determine their longevity and success.
Right, and in New York, so many bookstores have been wiped out that deserve to be here. You know, a Coliseum, Borders just came out, that's why, but Gotham would be one that really should be around, and children's bookstores. Your was here. You know, and all the 4th Avenue bookstores, I wish they were gone.
You don't want to sound nostalgic and living in the past, and yet wouldn't it have been great to have been alive in the 50s when you could, prior to the internet, when you could have strolled through that area and picked up all sorts of, because of your knowledge, picked up all sorts of bargains, and now it's difficult for anyone to find a bargain because all the booksellers, regardless of their expertise, just go and check the price online before they price their books.
Definitely have lost something with that. But anyway, I hope people are reading more, even if it's online. So that's kind of a good thing. I don't want to be too pessimistic about the future.
Yeah. What about what makes you happiest then? Just in general, and then specific to what we're talking about.
I like to build on things. I like when things grow. I like when the Strand grows. I like when people grow with themselves and be happy. And I like seeing progress, even when a garden grows, like that. It's very simple, but that makes me really happy to see that, and if I can be a part of that, that makes me even happier.
And as it pertains to what you're doing, how do you make what you're doing grow? Having the bookstore, it's embodied with the people that work here, and so if they can grow, and that makes me happy. They are feeling fulfilled. I think it's great to employ people, to support families. I love that customers come in and they feel inspired by books, and they feel happy to acquire them. And really, books are very inexpensive. Our average price of a book is like $9. So you read a whole book, it might take you a day, but that's so much of a great value to, and you learn so much. It can be entertaining, and it's just so fulfilling. Collecting books too, I think, can be very fulfilling. I think that books are undervalued in the antiquarian market. A couple categories especially undervalued. I think that fine bindings, the workmanship and the details that sometimes will go into how they do the marble paper, how they do the tooling. There are not as many people coming around and collecting that right now. I think art books are a great category too, that have never really seen their value, especially if they're signed by the artist, because you see, $1 million paintings, Absolutely.
And then it's signed, an art book is signed by an artist, and it's just not worth as much. So that's a great, sometimes the artists even do little drawings in the books.
I was in Vancouver not that long ago, and I purchased a book of photography by Fred Herzog, who's well known there, and it's signed, and I happened to interview the designer of that book, and he told me that Fred sat down and spent as much time with that book and discussing what should go into that book as he did actually doing the photographs themselves. So, as you say, if you want a connection with the artist or the photographer, I think I paid $60 for that, and then one of his photographs goes for, I don't know, $5,000. I suppose the market will eventually, if you're looking for an investment, which is kind of stupid to do in the first place with books, because you should love them. But that's what you're speaking to then.
And I think photography books have started to catch on, but they're not where they should go. Our best-selling books are fiction, like most bookstores. But then, what's unusual with us is that our second best-selling books are art books. And within the art category, our best-selling book is books on photography, which just kind of shows you how people in New York are thinking.
Do you do anything to encourage the collecting of books? Do you have people here that put on seminars on what to collect?
We had some book seminars on bookbinding here. And our rare book people it's very open to the public. We have 3 rare book experts. So you just go up to the 3rd floor and you can ask them any kind of questions.
So it's a free resource.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do nights where you can
bring in your
books, kind of like the Channel 13 roadshow. They haven't pulled that off yet.
Just in winding down, there's definitely the 2 kinds of book buyers. There's a buyer that's interested in reading and the content, and then there's the buyer that's interested in the book as object. Well, with the content becoming more readily available online, it seems to me, as you've said, that the book as object is really a good place for booksellers to focus. Yeah,
they can do both.
They can do both. Absolutely. Any parting remarks or comments you'd like to make to people who love books who may be listening?
Well, I just want to say, Nigel, I'm just so happy that you have your book blog and you encourage people to travel and see bookstores all over the world. And I think what you're doing is helps us all.
It's indeed my pleasure to do that and to have met you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'll be speaking with Nancy Bass, who is the owner, with her father, of Strand Books. The Strand Books?
Strand Book Store is what we say, but a lot of people just say the Strand, so.
In New York, New York. Thanks again.
Thank you.